Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Throwaway Geologist who says, girlfriend told me I'm going to die in 72 hours. I, 29 male, and with my girlfriend, 29 female, since 7 years. She is into astrology, tarot card readings, crystals, mediums, and numerology. It's not a big part of her life, and I always found it kinda cute that she would read her horoscope every morning and send me mine too. She didn't force me to get into it, and there's never been a problem in our relationship. I didn't try to impose my views on her regarding this either. We are both geologists and not exactly superstitious people who believe in hocus pocus. She thinks of this as a quirk of hers, as part of her spirituality, and I have accepted it for what it is without mocking her. 3 months ago, she came to my cubicle at the workplace in the middle of a busy afternoon and told me that my life is going to be cut short. I joked around and asked, "What? Am I gonna die?" I was clearly humoring her and she grew silent and said, yes. I told her I had work to do and forgot about it. Every day for the past 3 months, she keeps telling me to be careful. Like, for example, drive safe and small instructions here and there. Frequent text messages whether I've taken my insulin for DM1, etc. Last night I told her clearly, honey, it's got to stop. I'm getting annoyed and it's no longer quirky or cute anymore. She said quietly, it will stop in 3 days. It's getting close. It's over. I asked her what the fuck does that mean? She said she saw it in her crystal ball that I have less than 72 hours left and she proceeded to cry. I consoled her the entire night that I am here and this is bullshit. It doesn't mean anything. It's crap sold to vulnerable people to trap them. She proceeded to point out some past predictions which came true. Like the time I actually forgot to take my insulin and she texted me that I had to take it, or the time I didn't get my engines checked and she had told me to. Like she told me to avoid a certain colleague because they will catch the virus 2 weeks later, and they did, etc, etc. I told her those were mere coincidences. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. She seemed inconsolable. This morning she told me that she wants me to take the next 3 days off work, citing health reasons. I said this is getting out of hand, and she said she just needs me to stay at home for 3 days, and then when the danger passes, and if I'm alive, she will not do this ever again. My girlfriend is a reasonable, smart woman, but I'm so confused with this behavior. It's irking me. I don't know what to do. Sure, I can take 3 days off of work, but I don't want to entertain this. I thought of this as a quirk of hers and it was never a problem between us. I just don't know what to do. I've tried reasoning with her. It's not like she is imprisoning me, but I don't know how to deal with this. If this was my partner and the way that you explained it, etc., that she's at the point now where she's trying to control your behavior, you know, her anxiety about what she's seeing is clearly taking over her, I'd be super concerned about that. The fact that she's now trying to get you to take time off work from what she's seeing is worrying. I mean, what happens next time she sees something? And OP did take the time off work. It's just kind of reinforcing all of that, and it just becomes unsustainable. The commenter says to OP, honestly, it seems like she could benefit from speaking with a professional. She's gone pretty far down the rabbit hole, and I worry with how seriously she's taking these bad omens. Another commenter says, if you were to die in 72 hours, there is absolutely nothing anyone can do to stop it. Might be morbid, but true. You could stay at home only to die in your sleep or have a fatal accident. If you did only have 3 days left, what would you want to do? Try new foods? Speak to an old friend? I believe you'll still be here after 3 days. One thing's for sure, no one knows when someone else will die. Commenter says, if you don't die in 3 days, please make an update. Commenter 4 says, don't let her fears become your fears. And then 3 days later, OP came in with that update and said, holy hell, inbox is flooding. I'm sorry I couldn't get back to you all sooner. Went to work and had long days. Still alive, folks. Thanks so much for checking on me. Before I could respond to the comments 3 days earlier, the post was locked, so couldn't get to it. Edit, I went to work and didn't feed her paranoia at all. Girlfriend wasn't happy but couldn't do much. She came too often to check on me. We worked together. We had made a deal that if this premonition of hers doesn't happen, she'll stop sharing horoscopes with me and would put this esoteric stuff to bed because I was getting irked by it. Since it didn't happen and I'm very much alive, girlfriend has no choice but to keep the deal. No more tarots and weekly predictions for me, I suppose. Edit 2. Girlfriend does not have depression, OCD, schizophrenia, mania, disassociation or any other mental illness. Girlfriend also isn't on cannabis, methamphetamines or datura. Datura? She just thinks of this habit of hers as her spirituality. Edit 3. Girlfriend is also not a killer, psychopathic or sociopathic or any other pathic that I have failed to respond to in previous comments. Someone said to OP, bruh, need some more details here. Did she even try to kill you? What did she say when she realized you're still alive? OP says, on my way back home. We'll type in a while. Another commenter says, nice try, zombie man. We all know you're really dead. Or undead, as the case may be. OP says, my spirit says hi. Another commenter says, how did she react to a premonition being inaccurate? Did she accept that she was wrong, or does she think she prevented your death? Will she still be doing tarot readings for herself and checking on her own horoscope? OP says she will be doing it for herself. She won't be forwarding them to me. She was happy the crystal ball was wrong for once, of course, but our deal has put this esoteric aspect of the relationship to bed. I wouldn't be part of this anymore. And another commenter says, hey, so I know you say she doesn't have anything, but really this screams of anxiety and obsessive thinking. If something like this happens again, you really should try to see if she'd get help. Not because she does horoscopes and readings, but because it was affecting her functioning and your relationship. And there was many comments after this one as well. People that do astrology, tarots as well, saying, I think the girlfriend's got something more going on here. But the OP was absolutely adamant that there's nothing there. But holy moly, what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from a throwaway account, and just a warning before we do get into it, there is a warning on this one of racism within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description, along the timeline below. Thank you, and it's titled, Am I the Arsehole Here for Flirting with Another Girl After My Girlfriend Introduced Me as a Friend? Me, 28 male, girlfriend 29 female, have been together for more than 2 years. We recently moved city and she has started working in a new place 3 months ago. 2 days ago was an after work get together event at a bar with her co-workers, and she forgot her phone charger at home and her battery was low. I went to give her the extra power bank we have at home as her phone uses the old USB type. As I went to her table to give it to her, one of her colleagues asked her who I am. Before I could say anything, she replied, "This is my friend, my name." She agreed to lend me the charger. I was a bit taken aback and looked at her and said, "Friend." She just laughed and said, "You're so funny, thank you for this," and waved to me as in implying goodbye. One of the other colleagues asked me that if I was free, I can also join them, and I said why not, and I could sense the annoyance on my girlfriend's face. People were drinking, some talked to me and asked me questions, made conversations. What do I do? Where did I grow up, etc. I should mention at this point that my girlfriend and most of her colleagues there were Chinese, and I am Indian. This becomes relevant later. Whenever someone would ask me anything related to how I met my girlfriend, she would pipe up to answer in a way that wasn't untrue, but completely omit any romance, giving the impression that we were just old friends. This kept bothering me, and I will admit that I was getting pretty angry. Then one of the colleagues who initially asked who I was, pretty drunk now, said, "Girlfriend's name, never told us she had such a good-looking friend," and laughed. My girlfriend also did a small polite laugh. I replied, I didn't know she had such a pretty colleague either, and winked at her, which made her laugh more, but my girlfriend became visibly upset. Another colleague said to my girlfriend, "Seems like you are an expert Cupid." My girlfriend was turning red and I was also feeling slightly uncomfortable. so after a bit more chit-chat, I made an excuse and said I got to go. The colleague said I should get a number from my girlfriend, and then I left. Now, when she came back, she refused to talk to me, and yesterday she angrily told me that I had kind of cheated on her and hurt her badly. I replied that although what I did was hurtful, she also needs to own up that introducing me as just a friend was hurtful. She refuses to acknowledge it was wrong, saying that she is just socially awkward and she thought that her colleagues might react weirdly to her dating an Indian guy, as they are all dating white or other Chinese people. Her reasoning is that it is a lot of explanation and questions regarding interracial dating, and she just wanted to avoid all that. I don't buy it. I feel she just wanted to hide the fact that she is dating me. We are at an impasse. I refuse to apologize till she sees that what she did was wrong, and she thinks she did not do anything wrong, and I was mean. Am I the arsehole here? Commenter says to OP, absolutely not the arsehole. Your girlfriend essentially erased your relationship to her new friends. New friends, I might add, who clearly didn't give a toss about your ethnicity. Your judgment was right. She just didn't want to admit she was dating you. Sorry, but that's a deal breaker. Shadow for Summer says, I would love to buy this man a drink for the way he handled it. She didn't want him to be her boyfriend in this group, so he didn't act like it. Beautiful. Knee Deep says, she literally created the situation and then watched it unfold in front of her. If she just said this is my boyfriend, her colleagues wouldn't be hitting on him and they wouldn't feel comfortable with him calling them cute. Salav says, well. If it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Eric says they never expect the leopard to eat their face. And another one says, not the arsehole. Your girlfriend introduced you as just a friend after 2 years together. That's hurtful. Flirting back was petty but understandable. She can't hide the relationship and expect you to act like her boyfriend in front of people she's hiding you from. You both need to talk honestly about why she's ashamed to acknowledge you. Wild Spare says, not the arsehole. She was embarrassed in front of her Chinese colleagues that she wasn't dating a Chinese man. Red flags. Mango Lychee Pudding says, I'm Chinese. Can verify. Our culture is very racist, especially when it comes to men from India or surrounding areas. Girlfriend was embarrassed to tell co-workers who she was dating. Simple as that. I didn't believe it was social anxiety at all. Girlfriend had no problem talking to her co-workers outside of the one issue with admitting he's her boyfriend. Inane Insanity says, but her colleague didn't seem too bothered by this particular social taboo, unless being intoxicated made her less inhibited. Mango replies saying, honestly, most of us don't care. I mean, the older generation might still gossip, but a lot of us do not care anymore. Within my circle of friends, they probably care more about how wealthy you are rather than which culture you're from. Not that it's any better. Then it was a couple of days after this that OP did come in with an update and said, thank you for all your responses and advice on my previous post. The last 3 days were a whirlwind. TLDR, we had a fight, I moved out, and writing this from a friend's house who will let me stay till I find a place. To answer some questions people had, in the work friend group that day, there were 3 guys as well. I did not publicly correct her because saving face is quite important for her. She would have had a literal panic attack if I had done that. On Friday, we talked. I admitted I was petty, but I was also hurt from her introduction as a friend. She broke down. At work, they have a group chat where they share memes, and it gave her the impression that they hate Indian people. She did not want to become the topic of jokes, so she had planned to introduce me slowly to the group. As a friend, and after they started liking me, reveal that we are dating. This had backfired badly because I started talking to them last week before she was ready, and she got anxious and went into autopilot mode to support her initial lie that I was a friend. She felt helpless, guilty, and hurt that they found me acceptable and cool, and I started flirting. Why did she not tell me all this earlier? She felt that it would make me dislike her co-workers who are otherwise actually nice people, and I would feel bad that she works with them. I asked her if I could see that group chat. I wanted to make sure this was the reason and not a work crush as many suggested. Almost 1/3 of the older memes they shared were Indians, dirty, uncivilized, or Indians, horny, creeps, etc. You all know, there are plenty on Instagram. There were also some about Southeast Asians, all mostly posted by one guy and one girl. Others would just laugh, react, or do a one-liner. I scrolled back to an old message by my ex-girlfriend to one of these memes. She had said, "I have an Indian friend. He's pretty nice actually." Someone had replied, "You found one of the clean ones," to a bunch of laugh reacts. There were also some recent messages after they met me, but I didn't bother read and translate at all. I realized that although she liked my personality and looks, she was never very interested in my language or culture. Since I started dating her, I got an HSK3, which according to Google says is the third level of the Chinese proficiency test. Can cook most Chinese dishes perfectly. Know all about her region, but holy will come and go without her still knowing what holy is. I felt hurt by how those kind of jokes weren't a big enough deal for her. I asked her why she never said anything to them about these jokes. She said this is the kind of reaction why she didn't tell me before. She feels like her relationship is private and is not part of who she is as a person, especially at work, so she saw no reason to create tension. I feel she just means I'm not worth it. I asked her point blank if she would have preferred if I was not Indian. She said it would have made her life easier. That stung me. I packed some clothes and went to a friend's house. I didn't even know how to write about my feelings even now, but I felt very hurt, as if my trust was completely broken by her. My friend is going on vacation and will let me stay at his place while I find a new one. Today I went to get my other belongings and she was crying a lot. She says she does not understand why something so minor can make me break up and throw away a good thing. She says she loves me, and if it is so important she will change her workplace. I told her I will need to think about things, but I cannot be with her right now. My brain honestly feels like a jumble right now. I know that I feel hurt, but having a hard time articulating what are the things that hurt me. Rich Ad says to that, it's interesting that she feels that erasing a whole part of who you are is something so minor. She wasn't proud of you, didn't defend you, didn't have courage to call you hers publicly, so she loses all the goodness that you are. OP, I'm proud of you for choosing yourself and holding a line. It would be easy to just try and get past this, but you're honoring your worth. Your ex can find an easier partner more aligned with her ingrained racism. In the meantime, you're going to go on kicking goals in life. Cynthia says exactly. She hid who OP was and called it minor. That's not love or respect. Yeah, did the right thing by choosing yourself and walking away. Not So Religious Now says, bruh, this is not minor. She's Delulu if she thinks their racism and her own is minor. You are absolutely right to break things off with her. Do not ever consider getting back with her. Racism should be a deal breaker. End of story. Successful Bitch says, not minor at all. If there was ever a hill to die on, this seems like one of the most important ones. She's all like, I love you in secret behind closed doors. Why isn't that good enough for you? It makes me sad that some people only find validation from acquaintances that they decide are important because of their perceived social standing and nothing else. Those co-workers don't care about her. She knows it and yet won't do a goddamn thing about her situation apart from crying and blaming OP for her own shitty, racist, non-minor actions. Bloody hell, I'm so glad that OP did choose themselves in this situation as well. I was checked out very early in this post. The fact that she called you friend in front of those people, you know, just denying your relationship straight away. I was like, nah, fuck that. I didn't blame you for what you did. Yeah, some people might call it petty, but if she wanted to play those games, then, you know, whatever. But then she goes on to call all of this minor and saying that if you weren't Indian, it would have been easier. And at the end, when she was saying, you know, she loves you, and if it's so important to OP, she will change your workplace. I mean, the wording of like, if it's so important, oh, if you're going to make me do this, then. Also not about the workplace at all. It's about her attitude towards things, isn't it? Absolutely awful, disgusting, and well done for OP for, again, choosing himself. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's have another story. Now, our next story comes from BestHost6822 and says, am I the arsehole for calling my wife a jerk for telling our son's crush that our son likes her in front of his friends? I, 37 male, have 3 kids, 40 male, 11 female, 8 female, with my wife, 37 female. Our son, who we'll call Sonny, is in grade 9. My wife has been asking him if he has a girl or if he's interested in this grade 10 girl, Tina, 15 female, who he's been hanging out with. Sonny said it's not her who he likes, it's a different girl, a 9th grader who we'll call Chris, 14 female. My wife asked Sonny if Chris knows. He said no and that it's a secret. My wife asked why. He said his friends will make fun of him. My wife asked why. He said it's because Chris is the heaviest girl in their grade. She has terrible skin and she's a tomboy. One Saturday, Sonny had friends over. It was Sonny plus 5 other boys, with Chris, Tina, and another girl. At one point, my wife just walks into the living room and she tells Chris that Sonny has a huge crush on her. It was so uncomfortable after that. Chris got up and just walked out of the house. The kids barely said anything and they left earlier than expected. Sonny didn't say anything to me nor his mum, but he made sure to slam every door he used. Later that night in bed, I called my wife a jerk. She said she was trying to prevent our son from becoming a bully. I told her there was a better way. Then she asked what if one of our daughters were in Chris's position. Then she asked if we went to the same high school, would I hide my feelings for her? She ended up sleeping in the guest bedroom. Am I the arsehole? Commenter says, I don't get how Sonny is potentially being a bully. He likes a girl that is heavy, terrible skin and a tomboy. He doesn't want his friends to know because he will be bullied, and likely Chris too. I think he's protecting her. Did I miss something? Opie says my wife probably got reminded of how kids treated her back in the day. She was a Chris herself. A commenter replied saying, was anyone treating Chris unkindly? Opie says, to my knowledge, I'm not exactly sure. My son didn't say that anyone was making fun of Chris. Chris was friends with some of the popular kids of grade 9 and 10. The commenter replies again saying, I think your wife just put a target in Chris's back, and your son's as well. I'm so sorry. Wife really needs to apologize and stop creating a problem where none exists. Opie says, I don't know what's going on with my son's social circle because he's giving us the silent treatment. I know it's just him and Tina at Tina's house right now. My son didn't even tell us he was going. He left, then he asked Tina's mum to tell us that he's there. So the friends are not together. Another commenter says there is no innocent or rational explanation. Also, when you asked her why she did it, her response was literally to stop him becoming a bully. It wasn't, oh, I thought she knew he liked her and it might break the ice and help them get together. There was zero good intentions there. She made that clear with her answer of why she did it. Even if she's been bullied as a kid for weight and skin issues, why would she then bully a kid who was like her? Sadly, sometimes kids who are bullied or abused become the abuser. They try and get their sense of power and control back by hurting those weaker than them. They want the victims to feel what they felt, or they become the opposite and are kind and understanding and wouldn't put anyone through what they went through. I know this seems like a big leap for what may just be one incident, but it's a big incident. Doing that in front of 9 of his friends was like ultimate savage and cruel. She wanted to humiliate your son in a huge way, and that girl. No loving mother would do that in front of 9 of their son's friends, including the girl he liked. You need to talk to your son about whether she's treated him badly in any other ways, physically or emotionally, or mentally, etc., when you're not home, because that isn't the actions of a loving mother. If she didn't intend to cause upset, she'd have gone after the girl when she went to leave and apologized if she upset or embarrassed her. Said it wasn't her intention, she just wanted her to know that he liked her and she thought it might help get the conversation started, etc. She'd have made sure the girl wasn't upset and apologized. And I bet she's not apologized to your son either, because she's not sorry. She doesn't see anything wrong with what she did. And that is the serious issue here. There's like teasing your kid about a crush on your girlfriend, but to humiliate him like that, and the girl, is disgusting. You need to do some talking with your son about their relationship and be a support and have his back on this one. Your wife's a major arsehole. She should be on the couch for a while at minimum. Opie says I'm starting to get more cynical of my wife's motives. I made her aware of this post an hour ago and crickets from her. I'm trying my best to not think my wife wanted to just humiliate our son just for the sake of it. Poppy says you need to get more used to it though, because that's what it is. Has she even tried to apologize to him? Has she tried to understand why what she did was wrong? Has she shown an ounce of regret or remorse? I'm guessing all the answers are no. Because she doesn't care that she's upset, hurt, and humiliated her son. She doesn't care that she's hurt and humiliated and bullied a 14-year-old girl to the point she walked straight out of the house and likely cried for ages. She doesn't care that her son likely hates her right now, has no trust in her, feels like she betrayed him and his confidence, and feels like his mum doesn't care that he's hurting and upset and humiliated, because if she felt bad, remorseful, or regretful, she'd be trying to correct it. But she's not, is she? She hasn't done anything, has she? Opie said the incident happened last Saturday. No apology. Today I showed her this post. There were some specific comments I let her read. No apology. If I get really cynical, maybe my wife wanted to punish our son for being one of the popular kids and for keeping it a secret that he likes the so-called awkward girl. I don't want to think about my wife that way. Ocean Spice says, I don't have much to say other than your wife seems like a truly repulsive person, and it's disappointing that you're unwilling or unable to see how horrible this was. She just hurt a lot of people, notably your son and Chris, but also everyone else who had to be around for that little stunt of hers. Opie says, well, at this point, I'm questioning if I really know who my wife is. I guess that's all I need to say about my wife. Ocean replies saying it's pretty clear that you don't. Opie said it's extra disappointing given that she knows what it's like to be bullied. Ocean says a lot about her character. Opie replying again saying, some of what I said in my replies to you are some of the things I wanted to say in the DM because my wife could be reading my comments. Ocean says, why are you still trying to not offend her? Opie says she's still the mother of my children, and I need to be her co-parent. I hope she loves our children, and I hope she wants them to be happy. I hope she realizes she hurt our son and Chris. I hope she knows that our children love her and I love her. What happened to her in the past was terrible, but she shouldn't let it ruin the good thing she has now. In the same post, Opie added their first update and says, a sad update. The information is sad, and the fact that I had to hear about this from Tina's mum is sad. To nobody's surprise, Chris was indeed humiliated. Chris at first thought it was a cruel prank. Then when Sunny confirmed it, she questioned why his mum would announce it like that in front of all their friends. Sunny took the honest route and he told Chris why he didn't want to tell her. Chris's feelings are hurt and said she can't like someone who was so embarrassed for people to know he likes her. So our son is even more upset with us. What my wife did showed my son in a bad light to most of his friends. Some of them thought it was a prank. Some of them think something is wrong with my wife mentally. The people whom my son is talking to the most about the situation are Tina and Tina's mum. So Opie did come in with an update and says, I 37 male have some good news and some bad news. My wife 37 male has read the original post, the edit, and all of my comments. I also showed my wife certain comments. She read a ton of comments on her own. I don't know if she'll read this update post because she says she hates Reddit and will never go back on Reddit for as long as she lives. However, she did agree to individual therapy and couples therapy. Back in middle school and high school, my wife was bullied a lot for her weight and acne. She still struggles with her weight and acne. I think she looks beautiful. What I've seen from her personality recently is another story. Last night my wife said that our son, Sunny, 14 male, had body shamed his crush, Chris, 14 female, when he gave the reasons why his friends may make fun of him for liking Chris. My wife, Sunny, merely acknowledging that Chris is heavy and has acne is body shaming, even though he also calls her pretty. My wife said she told Chris that Sunny liked her in front of everyone because my wife was afraid that if Sunny keeps his feelings for Chris a secret, that he'd end up with his friend Tina, 15 female. I've learned a lot about what is going on in our son's social circle, not from my son but from Tina's mum. The things my son gave Tina's mum permission to tell me. Tina has been working hard to fix her friend group. Tina has convinced Chris to forgive my son and to go on a date with him. Also, when the friend group wants a house to hang out, they do it at Tina's house. None of the kids want to come near my wife. One of the boys who was there that day told his parents, and he's not even allowed to go to our house. Tina's mum said her house is always welcome to my son if he needs a safe place to stay. I made sure to quickly tell my wife that Sunny and Chris will go on a date later in the week. I wasn't sure what would be my wife's reaction, and I wanted to get it over with before our son came home. My wife basically said that she told me so. She said Reddit and I was wrong. My wife is claiming victory for getting Sunny and Chris together. My wife claims that our son will thank her later. My wife is living in her own little world. This evening, I finally had a significant conversation with my son, Sonny. During the conversation, he wasn't referring to his mum as mum, nor my mum, but your wife. He said when he talks to an adult about stupid teenager stuff, he'll talk to Tina's mum. Sonny said he doesn't want to tell me something and give me the burden of keeping it a secret from my wife. Our son is continuing his radio silence with his mum. When I think of my wife's well-being, I have to look at it in the context of my co-parent instead of my life partner. I need to watch her and make sure I protect our kids from her if needed. She was a stable mum, but somehow she morphed into a bratty teenager, like she just heard some teenage drama. I hope my wife gets stable again, but my kids are and will always be number one. And OP also added another update and says, my 37 male wife, 37 female finally apologized to our son, Sonny, 14 male this morning. My wife, however, loaded the apology with excuses. She mentioned her own current weight and acne. She mentioned she was bullied in middle and high school. She was worried about our middle child. She mentioned that she wasn't sleeping enough. She mentioned that she was drinking too much caffeine. But at least an apology that lists every possible mitigating factors is more like her old self than the brat she was the past few weeks. Sonny just gave his mum a half-hearted thank you. Yesterday was Sonny and Chris's 14 female date. He hasn't said anything to us, but he seems happy. My wife actually managed to stop herself from asking our son about the date. My wife is acting a lot like her old self. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm still keeping an eye on her. Right now, our son and his friend group are at Tina's 15 female house. They are supervised by Tina's mum. Right now, I'm far more comfortable with Tina's mum watching our son with his friends than my wife. The appointment for individual therapy for my wife and couples therapy for us has been set. I hope things get better. It feels like a step, but also that apology was like one of those typical non-apologies that we see. I'm sorry, but I think it's going to take far more than that to come back from the damage that she did. The fact that he was calling her your wife, and there was many comments on the back of this one calling out OP as well for sweeping this under the rug when all this is going on. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.